In this episode, we talk about whether women who are in financially powerful positions are intimidating to men and what our take is on this. We talk about the bottlenecks in your business, how to identify them, and what to do when you notice that you are, in fact, the bottleneck. We also discuss undervaluing your offer and how you scale at large without diluting the very thing that made people join in the first place. This episode is our very best yet. I know you're going to love it. I'll see you inside. What's up, everyone?
Hello. How are we this week?
That time again. Hello, hello. Katie's looking like
got a
an
new mic.
Yes. You're full, like it's like you're glowing in the best way.
Oh wow.
The light blaze, the light background, it's just giving angel vibes.
I don't have any news. No news about being glowy.
Where are you, Katie? I feel like we get a different background from you quite often. I don't know if you've moved houses or if you are just in different rooms every time.
I'm currently in Melbourne. This week, we've kind of been on a bit of a road trip, looking at all of our sites. We've done some long hours in the car because we do have projects all over regional Vic. So yeah, we've been on the road, meeting consultants, our builder, and doing a lot of walkthrough on sites. So yeah, in Melbourne at the moment. How's your week been, guys?
Mine's been
I've
good.
actually
I can't believe it's Thursday already. The
Yeah.
Oh my God,
chat.
what do you mean? The horse week. What happened?
And I'm so disappointed. I woke up on the year of the horse and I was like, I'm different. I feel so energized and all this momentum. And then it's just been a week of like one fire on top of the next, on top of the next, on top of the next. And I feel like sometimes, like, you're either working on your business or in your business. Like this week has very much felt like I'm working in the business. Like I'm just doing all of the tedious, putting out fires, making sure that's sorted, giving feedback to this person, realigning that person's perspective. It's just felt a lot of that. So I don't know if the snake's just like lingering around a little bit longer for me, but yeah, I just feel like saying, I'm fucking pregnant, leave me alone.
Can you talk about the fires or what are you doing to solve them?
It's honestly a lot of really petty, just stupid little stuff that's happening. So like community members being unhappy with the way feedback's being given, or we're trying to organize a retreat at the moment, which we at the live event, we pitched on a sold from stage for the very first time, and we sold an inner circle program for $5,000. And it was the dumbest thing we've ever done because we basically sold the whole room and it's ended up costing us way more than $5,000 to run this program. And because we didn't specify or outline what the retreat part of it actually included, everyone has already purchased flights and are expecting accommodation and everything be covered. So like, it's cool. We're copying this one on the chin and just being like, you know what? We'll use this collateral to promote future retreats. But I'm just running into some like little comments, with that. I'm just like, like my the CFO, she did a post being like, hey, we can only accommodate 20 for this first round because of accommodation and whatnot. And it's hard to find villas unless we want to go to a dormitory, which we absolutely do not, to house more than 20. Really, it truly is. So people were unhappy about that. The retreat included everyone that purchased the inner circle, the retreat is included. And it's kind of like, yep, we know that. Hence why we said our first round. And like, it just lots of comments like that. And then like, do I have to share a room? And just little things like that.
And so when you guys did the sort of sale, in Melbourne, there was obviously like a landing page, so you didn't sort of specify the details of the retreat.
No, it was more, this was done very last minute, Katie. It was kind of like, it was our very first event we'd ever run. We wanted to sell something from stage. We knew it wanted to be like some kind of ascension program. We didn't, it's honestly completely our fault. I'm a big person of taking responsibility and just like, looking at the things that are, where I could have done better. And I absolutely could have done better in talking about what the inclusions of the retreat are. what the inner circle actually entailed. But I think I just got so swept away in the energy of the actual room and everyone being so excited because we had little envelopes that actually invited everyone to attend or to the inner circle group, which everyone all day was like holding up to the light, looking at what was in the envelope. So I just got very swept away in that. And there's a full formula on how you actually sell from stage, which I'm not trained in how to sell from stage, by the way. So I was just winging it. And unfortunately, when you wing something, you say stuff that maybe you shouldn't have said. And so like it ended up just being this big thing. And yeah, cool. I can say I sold majority of the room, but also like we are at a massive loss running this program. So first time round is absolutely fine. We can cop the loss and actually just, use it as collateral to promote and make the program more expensive and make it run better. Though big learning for us is do not sell from stage a program that's not quite ready.
I mean, it sounds like that's gotta hurt, right? There's no way around it, but I also would say it's your first time. I'd be surprised if you didn't make a big fuck up. You know what I mean? I think anyone going into that with and having a mistake, that just sounds pretty normal. Doesn't take away the hurt, but it sounds normal.
And it's always in business. It's like, okay, what did I learn? And I think it's just reframing the situation. We all go through these moments in business where, we get a bit excited. Maybe we haven't completely planned something out. And I always find that if something isn't strategically planned, honestly, this is when I have made the biggest mistakes. And I know that we talk about this a lot. And you guys rip on me for being that type of character, but I wasn't always like that, Brooke. And it's
Yeah.
because of the screw ups that I
Mm.
had made as a business owner in my early days that now I am like, no, no, every T is crossed and you still make mistakes, but it was actually through my own F ups that I'm like, I just cannot operate that way anymore. I need to be strategic because, the pain that it causes me
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you just reframe it. What did I learn? And
Mm,
kind of an activity that I always love to do when I do mess up in business, which I always do, it's, you sort of write down the mess up that happened and you just let your brain unravel and you answer the question, what did I learn? I get a bit of paper out and I put down the screw up and I just keep asking myself, what did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? And I just scribble down, I learnt this, I learnt this, I learnt this. And then when you think you've finished, ask again, what did I learn? And by the end of the session, you have a full page of learnings. And then when I often review those learnings, I'm like, hey, although it was shit and it's been hard, I learned a whole full page of things that I can now carry forward in my business. It's a really good activity to reframe the situation.
I love that. I love that because I never look at it as anything as a failure. I always look at it as like a blessing or a lesson. And so, off the back of that, there was so many amazing blessings about the live event, but there was also huge lessons in there. So I absolutely love that. And what a good reframe for anybody who's starting out in business who maybe gets caught up in the failures a little bit too much and thinks, oh my God, I'm not doing good at this, instead of to be like, okay, what am I learning? How am I evolving? And something interesting to note is this was all a limiting belief of mine, by the way, because I thought I was speaking to a room of women who would think $5,000 was too expensive. And this is going to tie beautifully onto what you were asked this week, Viv, is I was pushing to make the inner circle cheaper. I was like, no, we couldn't possibly sell this program at $5,000. I just don't feel right. I feel like I'm asking for too much. And so I could feel myself shrinking because and the scarcity rising because I was really afraid to get on stage and be like, it's 5 grand. And you would never believe what people were yelling out in the room. That's cheap. Sign me up. And I'm like completely just in real time having my own limitations challenged. And it was magical and confusing all at once. But it just goes to show you that sometimes your own limitations can hold you back and actually end up making a mistake, which you could have actually sold for $10,000. And I probably would have still had people say, that's cheap. It's like when you're at the gym and they say, right, you're going to do 10 rounds of 10 burpees each. When it gets to burpee 9, it starts to feel really hard. But if they had said it's 10 rounds of 15 burpees, 14th burpee is going to feel really hard. So it's just like continue to push the boundaries and I guess like holding more of a capacity. And Abib, I'm dying to talk about this with you. So tell us what you were asked this week, because like I have so much to say on this. Like,
Oh, this morning, I got this text, and as soon as I got it, I thought, yes, I've got some podcast content. But also, I got excited because I have heard this messaging a number of times, and it'll be interesting to hear it from YouTube because well, I guess what I'll talk about in a second, but you guys are in a different life stage in your, say, the last, say, 10 years for you guys has looked quite different for me. So
Mhm.
today I got a text from a friend and she said, do you know what I worry about at the moment? And I guess for context, this friend is in a new relationship. She's really excited about it. And she is, yeah, very well paid at one of the big fours. She said, do you know what I worry about at the moment? I need someone to tell me I'm ridiculous. I'm worried that I get paid too much. Would a man ever think that? Lol. And we'll get back to what I said and what I recommended to her. But it reminded me that it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago, and I've been single most of my 20s, until Girls Get Off started to get more in the public eye. I would have initially from women say, try and it was almost like people are trying to make sense of it and say, oh, guys must find you really intimidating, or do guys find you really intimidating? And it had honestly never crossed my mind. And I thought, well, I mean, the initial thought that came to mind when I had it the first few times from women, I actually went, well, I don't care. Like maybe the guy that I go on a date with likes blondes instead of brunettes. Like it's not that deep. But secondly, I thought, oh my God, if that is going through your mind, that somehow for starters, that success, for lack of a better term, is measured only by money or how often you're getting or how many Instagram followers you have or something like that, that's a bit of a warning sign. B, if you're saying, oh my God, if she's quote unquote doing well or perceived to be doing well, is that all of a sudden unappealing? Does that like lessen her worth? Does that make it harder? Do you have to choose then between a career or quote unquote success and then having a partner? Like, oh my God, and it just made me realize. And when I get messages like this, it blows my mind sometimes how much I realize there's a lot of people out there, particularly women, shrinking themselves or not feeling like they have permission to work and operate and achieve at their full potential. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, I've also had a couple of guys say, yeah, I've had the odd guy say, A, do guys find you attractive? Or sorry, attractive, intimidating. And then another guy, yeah, say you're a little bit intimidating. But again, to me, I'm like, money is just metal, like it's numbers. I'm like, whatever you put on that is up to you. So like I say, you could like blondes. I'm brunette. It's like that's not really up to me. It's on you to do your own thing. Anyway, I'm waffling now, but please tell me because I don't know whether you two you guys have been with your partners since you were at high school. You haven't been out in the dating world for a while, having people ask if your partners find you intimidating. Tell me more.
I have so much to say on this. Like I could talk about it. We could have a whole episode on this very topic alone because there's lots of research to actually indicate why women are like this, which I want to talk to you about. But I like in plain black and white, if a man is intimidated by how much money you make, he is not the right fucking man. Point, period, blank.
No, it's just like different flavor. If you don't feel comfortable dating someone who makes more money than you, then that is not a me problem. That's a you problem, and you're not for me. It's good to
Right.
niche down, you know? Yeah, like that's yeah.
And I also would add to that because my opinion is that the question itself is really telling because instead of asking, is this something that I'm proud of? We're asking, will this make me less acceptable or will this make me less likable? And it's not actually whether men are intimidated by how much money you earn. It's about whether there's a social cost to women being financially powerful. And there is so much research, which I want to go into, that actually explains or helps explains why this comes up for women. The first one was a study, Dan, of that found male graduates. So they went in and they same degree, same graduating class, same job market, same opportunity. Everything was the same. They tried to keep as much of the same as possible. And what they found is that male graduates were 8 times more likely to negotiate their starting salaries than their counter female graduates, which in itself, it just shows us that asking for more is a really masculine trait that sometimes women find difficult to do. And I see this all the time in sales conversations when I ask people, when I ask women, how much money do you want to make? They like literally shrink. They cannot say a number. And when they do, it's always followed by like, can I even ask for that much? Like, I don't want to be greedy. And it's like, what are you talking about? You can ask for how much you want. And like, so off the back of that study, there is another study that I want to talk to you about because this one is even more wild to me. So this was a study by Bowles. It was like a Babcock and Lie study that they did where they evaluated job candidates. Okay. And everything about the candidates was identical. So again, experience, qualifications, competence, everything was equal. The only difference was some accepted the offer and some negotiated for a higher pay. Okay. So when the men negotiated, they were seen as confident and competent. And the employer was likely to be like, yep, okay, we accept that higher offer. When women negotiated, they were seen as difficult, less likable, and less desirable to work with. And so some of the evaluators were actually less willing to hire them or collaborate with them in the future. So it's almost like women experience this social penalty for doing the exact same thing. And here's the double bind. Here's what really irks me, right? It's created this internal conflict. If I ask for more as a woman, I might, yes, maybe earn more, but I might also be seen as aggressive, as intimidating, as difficult, as unlikable. But if I don't ask and I just maintain the social approval, then I can potentially learn less for doing the exact same job. So it's just so nuanced, isn't it? And like that study just really shows that it's almost like there is a social penalty for us being financially powerful. So,
What I said to my friend was I said, in capitals, don't let the patriarchy get you. I said, here's a book. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's all about how you can give yourself permission to achieve what you want to achieve and say it's okay. I think a lot of these ideas, it all comes down to unconscious bias. So it's not so long ago that oh my God, me on the details again, it's something crazy like the 60s or 70s that our grandparents wouldn't have been able to own have a mortgage by themselves as women or didn't have financial control. It's not that long ago that there were no role models of women, working outside the home or God forbid being single and childless at 30. So it's a different world. And when people talk, I think I struggled a little bit growing up when there was a lot of conversations around diversity and if you want to have 50% of women on boards and not and never wanting to feel like well you don't want to get picked to be on a board or if you want 50% of the C-suite execs to be women because then it's like kind of tokenistic or you want to be there because you earned it. But
yeah.
the reason sometimes giving a group of people that head start and giving them a bit of a lift up is because seeing is believing. So I think that all that narrative around she seems a bit aggressive or that just seems a little bit intense or I don't think that's quite right, just those whenever those thoughts are in your mind, well, it just doesn't quite seem right or something seems off there, that comes from a place of if you can't see it, you can't necessarily achieve it. And the role models and role modeling has like a bigger impact on society as a whole. And it's taken a while to catch up. And it is catching up.
I think it's also a cultural thing. I don't know, like in Australia, the difference of doing business in Australia versus America, for example, in Australia, we just don't have the same cheer girl to each other as women. I felt the massive difference, taking business into America. I felt there was a lot more support and people were genuinely happy for someone else to succeed. But I feel like in Australia, it's quite different culturally, where, the tall poppy syndrome, it is a real thing. And so, maybe women are a little bit nervous to stick their hand up to say, hey, yeah, I make this and this is what I'm doing, because we get dragged down often in Australia. So I felt a massive difference culturally between Australia and America. Have you guys found that?
I want to call all women forward because I agree with you, Katie, in that there is tall poppy syndrome in Australia. Like that's 100% happening, particularly with women. But I feel like we're not really doing anything to help the situation. Like, how many times in friendship groups do you talk about your salary or your pay or how much money you want to earn? It's not a discussion that we ever have. And one way of normalizing it and actually allowing us to catch up is to actually have those conversations. Like, when I met a business owner, a young business owner last week, we went out for dinner in Bali and she was telling me she doesn't talk to her friends about how much money she's making or how much money she wants to make. And I was like, why not? She was like, oh, I just don't feel like they would understand. I just feel like they would be like, whoa, that's so much, not really. And I was like, that's exactly my point. So you should talk to them about it. You should educate them. You should like actually normalize the situation so that we can encourage more women to ask for what they want without the guilt and without shrinking to be liked. Like, I know we're wired in that way because, gosh, if you look back to the caveman days, like we literally had to be liked in order to find a mate. So, like, it's literally wired in us. And back to your point, Viv, about it is relatively new. Like, my grandma, my nonna, has never worked a day in her life. She's in her 80s. She hasn't ever earned her own money. So, like, it's still very new-ish to some extent. So, like, I get that as well. But I think, like, rather than talk about the problems here, like let's actually think about ways that we can make this less of a thing. And I think one of them is engaging in conversation around it. No shame around asking for how much money you want to earn. No shame in actually showing like the fruits of your labor. Like, I'm literally about to move into a new house. It happens every year where we're like, it's time for an upgrade. And our rent's going to cost us close to $20,000 per month. And this isn't me bragging about how much money I'm making. This is me extending my capacity so that I can hold more. Because you know what I grew up being told? Live within your means. That is the most damaging thing that you can be told, because then what do? You play comfortable, you play small. You live within your means. In fact, I want to do the opposite of that. I want to live outside of my means so that my nervous system can regulate to a higher capacity. So have a conversation around it.
The book, The Big Leap, is speaking specifically to what you're talking about, Brooke, in terms of you realizing what you're actually capable of and being okay with that. I think even when I talk about how society might be, and I'm saying to my friend, I'm saying, I also said, it's not your fault you're feeling this way, it's society's fault. However, it's your problem. So, here's a book to read. Like you say, like, I think recognizing it is the main part, and then figuring out what you're going to do about it. Because at the end of the day, the only person saying the thing or worrying about it is you. And it's the same person who's not asking for the raise or negotiating or telling themselves that they're worthy of more, or they're allowed to, or it's actually not really a big deal and money is just a tool. So
You know
love that
what's
topic.
crazy? I just want to finish on one thing, because the stories control everything. So the stories that you hold around money, the stories that you hold around how others might perceive you if you make a lot of money, your brain's going to look for that evidence. So if your friend legitimately thinks that men are intimidated by women who make a lot of money, she will subconsciously call that in and look for evidence to prove herself right. So alongside actually like learning about it, you have to be able to reframe yourself and actually look at the stories that you're choosing to believe, because some are going to serve you and elevate you higher, and some are going to keep you playing small. There is absolutely no shame in her making a lot of money, and she will find the right man who will value that and respect that she makes that much money. But she has to believe the opposite of that: men are intimidated by women who make money. Otherwise, she won't find that. And it's that simple. It's like actually kind of crazy when you look at it like that.
Yeah, and like, what, he's probably not even thinking about, like, I don't know if even he's thinking it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's all in her mind. But anyway, hopefully she reads the book.
So I had a bit of an aha moment this week. So I sort of mentioned that, we've been doing a lot of our road tripping actually to look at all of our sites. We've been meeting all of our consultants, getting the team together. and just the power in getting in front of your team. So, as a developer, you hire a lot of consultants. They're not like internal team members where you're meeting them each week and you have your KPIs. You're hiring a lot of professionals and a lot of consultants from, civil engineers to arborists to builders, like the list goes on. And your job as a developer is to manage the consultants and just make sure that they're doing the task at the right time. So we've put a lot of time and effort into getting incredible consultants, and we have full faith in their ability. But often, us as developers can be the bottleneck because everything has to go through us. So, a consultant needs to go and do a job on site. They have to come to us. But the next consultant can't do their job until the first consultant has done their job because most of the time with development, one thing comes after the other and it is on a timeline. And we got everyone in a room. We met all of our consultants. It was a really awesome experience. But just having everyone in the same room, even though they don't work in the same team and they are contractors and hired consultants, we got everyone in the same room to build rapport with each other because, they're sort of communicating with us most of the time. But also, they started to then build rapport with each other. They started to solve problems, future problems that we aren't even having yet. But the thing that I probably took away the most was just removing the bottlenecks in business. And often we are the bottleneck. And during our meeting with everyone in the room, we sort of said, hey, you guys can talk to each other. Don't feel that you need to come through us, the developer who's arranging all of this. You guys can just call each other and you have open communication to go direct through and not even come through us at all. Obviously, we have the oversight and the end decision, but just it was just a bit of a moment where I'm like, oh, why haven't we done this a long time ago? Because now we've got, for example, our architect talking to our builder directly. Normally, they would then come through us and be like, hey, we've got this idea, and then we have to pass it on to the builder. So I think just it was really a powerful moment just to get everyone in the room to alleviate the bottleneck, which is often us as business owners. So I wanted to talk about bottlenecks. Is there something that there is a bottleneck in your business that you're in the middle of? And how can we get you out of that? Have you got any bottlenecks at the moment, Brooke, that is sort of they have to come to you to get the answer?
Yeah, I love this question because it's just so important. Even when we're reviewing sales calls, I'm always looking for the bottleneck because once you solve that, it helps move the needle. So for me, we just hit 2,000 paid members in our She Sells community, which is amazing. Like that is definitely something worth celebrating. Though the biggest bottleneck that I'm running into at the moment, and this is just, again, it's probably linked to my personality, but it's generosity versus access versus entitlement. And what I mean by this is I am in this weird place where I'm wanting to make things as accessible as possible. And I'm actually running a $10,000 scholarship giveaway at the moment where I'm gifting it to someone in my community outside of She Sells who maybe isn't in a position to actually pay to do the program right now, but knows that it would actually change their life. So I'm doing that. So I'm in this weird place where I'm like, okay, I don't want to be caught between being too generous versus giving too much access away for free versus entitlement. Because what I don't want to create is I don't want to attract people who are just going to play on the sidelines, not actually get in the game and play. And I know, and I know from mentors and I know from other business owners that investment increases implementation. I see that even with my own clients. People who pay in full are more likely to get in, do the work, keep the head down, and go, 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 versus my people who pay off the littlest amount every single month. They tend to be the loudest and the most amount of headache. So free can empower, yes, and I really want to empower as many women as I can, but I do not want to attract observers instead of executors because, to be completely honest with you, in sales, you need to be an A player. You need to move like you've just made an Olympic team. And I worry that my generosity and how accessible I am is going to bring in the wrong types of people. So
And I guess the importance with what you do is to have successful people in the program because at the end of the day, they'll be your raving fans, word of mouth. And so you want everyone to be successful that come out of your program. So, yeah, I do tend to agree with the thinking that although generosity is important, maybe find other areas to be generous because you want to get people in who will be successful come through the program so that they're leaving making money and absolutely killing it at sales. Because the more people you have come through the program that aren't successful, I think will hinder you.
well, this is the bottleneck, right? It's like everyone in my management team want to increase the prices because we slowly want to start to attract a higher, this sounds awful. I don't mean high quality as in like they make more money, but someone who sees the investment as for what it is, an investment in a high leveraged skill that they can then use for multiple different opportunities. And right now, what we actually give for $10,000 is insane. You don't even get that level of education when you go and get a freaking degree. So this is the battle, right? I'm the hesitant. I'm the one in the middle being like, oh, but I want to help everybody. I'm like, I want to give. And that's actually being a detriment now because I am actually bringing in some of the wrong types of people who kind of want this to be an easy journey, who don't expect they need to do the work, who kind of come in and want everything done for them. So the moment that happens, it creates this entitlement. And they're like, well, I paid $10,000. I expect to be in a job that is going to pay me $10,000 or more, and I want to do the minimal amount of work. And
And Brooke, are you then
I take
also helping them like at the end of the program, do you have companies that you're then doing introductions to for them to then start selling for their business?
oh, we have a whole recruitment team, an
Because
entire
then hey, that's hurtful for your brand. You're bringing in people and then you're connecting them with other professionals who are trusting that you've got these killer salespeople coming out the back end of it. Look, I'm going to agree with your with your team on this one because soon you got to make sure that you're actually having these people kill the sales at the end because you're going to have you know yeah, I agree with them. Sorry,
I
Brooke.
know everyone does, Katie. Everyone.
Is
I'm
it
like,
is it the pri is it the price that's the problem, or is it the payment terms?
no, it's a lot of things. It's me constantly, and again, remember I said the stories control the things you find. So I don't ever want to be seen as being greedy, and I get the idea. I know we give so much. I know we do that, and I understand how entitlement is bred, and I know that just because you buy a gym membership, you are not entitled to a six pack. You have to do the work. I understand all of these things. Like I really do, but I struggle with just accepting, oh, it's time to increase our program prices. I'm just like, oh, I feel like I need to give more when we increase. And it's like, no, that's the wrong mentality to have. So I am 1,000 and million%. That's not even a number, but I am the bottleneck. I know I am. And the
I
fun
mean, at the end of the day, the good thing is if you increase it and no one pays, you just delete, put the old number back in, you know? Like, if it doesn't work, then okay. Well, didn't no one wanted to pay it.
because I just absolutely never go back. Never, ever go back. No, it's just like
Uh-huh.
I need to my identity hasn't caught up to my desire yet. Like I have this goal of how much money I want to make. I have this goal of how many members and women I want to help. Well, if that's actually true and I want that, then I need to change my actions and my thoughts and my stories, which I feel like I'm just in a bit of a phase right now where my desire is high. I've got that on lock, but my identity hasn't caught up yet. So I'm still making decisions stuck in scarcity, stuck in like, oh, I don't want to be disliked. Oh, I don't want people to think that I'm being greedy for putting up the program by $2,000. Like, no, it's actually a lack of information. They have no idea what goes in the back end and all of that. So I just feel like I'm in that in between. So this is such a good point, Katie, because actually airing it out and talking about it with you has got me. As I'm speaking, I'm like, you're not making sense, woman. You ain't making sense. But like, you need to hear this sometimes to go, okay, my actions don't match what I want.
And that's the thing about
Mm.
bottlenecks. It's like you don't always it's right in front of you and it's like hitting you in the face, but until you actually sit down and look at the overall picture and you're like, where are the bottlenecks? And then you start to pinpoint, you're like, shit, I'm every bottleneck. I think it's just such a common thing that happens, in small business. It's like all of the challenges that we're facing is because I'm stopping it to flow through. What about you, Viv? Any crazy bottlenecks you've got going on?
Yeah, and I think the day you realize that you just accept that you are the problem the whole time, then life gets a lot easier, you know?
Really?
I think that at the moment, I've got a bottleneck. Oh, I mean, there's a couple of examples that pop up. I remember a few weeks ago saying to a friend, "Oh my god, can you please just tell me how you schedule like, how you have everyone in your team reporting to each other? Because 'Cause we've got similar size teams and deliverables." And he's like, "Write down how many people are reporting to you right now." And I'm like, 12? I'm like, my idea of outsource to take stuff off me just turned into all these people talking to me and then me feeling like I was holding everything up. But the biggest bottleneck at the moment is that my editor has finished up with us. So I am editing social media content, and it's all well and good to say, you want to wait for the right person and hire slowly, but we're gonna pump out 3 reels a day. And you know what I don't like doing? Editing content. I'm like, every time I'm doing, I'm like, this is such a waste of my time, such a waste of my time. And then I'm like, and then I'm going, okay, I'll trial someone new, and I do a big Loom video, do all the brief, whatever, and then I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. I'm like, that's not it. And I'm like, I just need someone who gets it. And then, but I can't or in fast. I can tell when someone is good and they got the storytelling, and when they're better than me, I'm like, "Be better than me." I'll just re-edit it. So yeah, I mean, that's the bottleneck at the moment, but I'm still happy to do it to wait till we find the right person. So I mean, that's all that's right in front of my face right now. But
And are
I
you sort of doing anything different to find the right person? Like, where are you outreaching?
just getting like just advertising for starters, but just asking people who are already good, and then I go, okay, they didn't have any leads. All right, I'll go, cast the net one ring wider. Okay, oh, what about that person? Oh, they might know someone. I think sometimes the tricky part is you, yeah, you kind of want, because we're going for quantity as well, sometimes like, I don't need it to be that perfect, but I need them to kinda get how to tell a story, you know? So I don't need someone who's like a videographer editor, because that's just gonna be too pretty and too intense for what we need. I don't need someone to care that much, but yeah. So it just I think asking people is always the best way though, ask the A players.
You're not asking for a free content to be sent your way, hey Viv, because we know what happened last time you did that.
Free content? What do I do?
Was it you that was you got someone to send through when you were advertising for an editor or something, you got someone to send through an example of their work, what they would do for Girls Get Off, and then you got slammed on LinkedIn? Was that was a conversation
Oh,
we
yeah.
had, right?
Like, yeah, no, I did get cancelled on LinkedIn once. Yeah. So I got cancelled on LinkedIn once in this exact situation, because what I'll often do is if I find there's a number of people I want to test, I give them all the same brief, and I'll say, here's the same content. And at that time I said, I'm not going to use it. Like, it's old content. I'm not going to use it. If I do use it, I'll pay you for it. And yeah, then I got cancelled on LinkedIn for slave labor or something, but that's fine. I understand that now. And now I actually do pay people for trials. So look, I learned my lesson, but I was like, it was so hectic at the time. I was like, I know so many people who do 9 interviews and don't get paid for it. But anyway, it does mean that it's just easy to get responses from people. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win.
I'm a fan of it. I would 1000%. I think that's normal. Something actually, unless we have more bottlenecks, did you have another bottleneck, Katie Key? Because I have something that I want to talk about, which is I'm actually keen to hear your advice, because I think in the beginning of a business, when you decide, and I know last week we spoke about scaling and what's actually involved in that, but there does get to a point where scaling stops being about sales and just like how many sales can you make, and starts becoming about standards and how you maintain that. So like at the very start of She Sells, if I go back, it was all about how many sales, more leads, more money, more like direct sale, direct sale, direct sale. And that was kind of what we were chasing. And now we're kind of in a place where it's like, if we bring in the wrong people, then it can really damage our entire brand, our reputation, our culture, everything that we've worked so hard to build. And so the higher you scale, and this has really been prominent for me this week because we've hit 2,000 members, I I want to be a little bit more picky about who we let in, because there is a point where we start going backwards. I think Scott did the calculations. I think at 5,000, we have a ceiling. We can't grow any more than 5,000, purely because of the amount of people exiting the community will be much higher than the people coming in. So I think 5,000 is our cap. And I want to know, in your opinion, how do you scale without diluting the thing that made people join in the first place? I want to ask you both, because we're just about to launch a program called the She Sells Creator. And I got this idea off the back of the networking event we hosted. And I'm having basically 10 different women start to talk about their She Sells journey on their own socials, so that we're actually hitting like wider groups of people. So I'm going through people, and it's really, really exciting. But something that I have to be mindful of is if I'm letting them do the selling, how can I be how can I be across quality assurance? Like, how can I be sure of what they're saying, what they're promising, the people that they're inviting into the group? Because I have this blanket rule that if I wouldn't go out for coffee with someone, they are absolutely not right for the She Sells community, because I legitimately love every single person in the community. I would go out and have a drink with them, and we would be best friends. And that's kind of the types of people that I've attracted. But as we've scaled and it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, I want to know if you have any opinions or thoughts on how we don't dilute the very thing that people joined in the first place, which is usually my energy or the family feel or like the standards. So any thoughts,
I think,
opinions?
like with any kind of scale, it is just systems, it's being strategic, it's automations, which I know that you guys are absolutely nailing, from my understanding at She Sells. But without the automations and the systems, and without everything running perfectly on a small beta, I wouldn't scale. Like, until I know we spoke about it last week, but until all of the holes are completely closed up, when you scale, you're just going to get headaches. It's like, let's make this system perfect first before we then open to the masses. And if it's not perfect, I would just continue making it perfect, because if you scale and it's not, and I get that nothing is perfect, and we do have, the freak things that pop up all of the time in business. But, if you are finding the same issues popping up over and over and over again, it's like, okay, cool. There is a hole in the boat. Let's plug the hole. Let's fix that issue first. And then another hole if it keeps popping open. So I think that it is about, getting it to a point where you're not seeing the same issues time and time and time and time again. If you're seeing repeat issues over and over and over, it is like, let's fix those issues before we scale. Because the minute you scale, those holes are going to become huge and sometimes too hard to then plug. And then you have to retract anyway. And I think that when you are scaling in a business like yours, you are going to have to find, other Brooks that can go out and be that community leader like you are. And I think the easiest way for you to do that is through people that have come through your coaching program, that emulate you, that, have been with you in the community for quite some time. I think, then having some kind of level where they then become the She Sells coach alongside you, and they then can go out and start the exact community like what you've done under the She Sells brand. So for me, it would just be about copying what you guys had done once the entire holes are all plugged, and being like, okay, who now in our community can become another Brook leader, and then they can lead another 3,000, would you say 5,000 people? It's like, I would prefer to get your community to like 3,000 or 2,000 or whatever is comfortable, and then actually put forward some other people in the community as leaders, that they then run another 2,000 community, and you might pop into the community every month rather than every week, for example. So I would be trying to up level some people in my community, and it also creates a pathway for people in the community. I want to become a Brooke She Sells coach, and run my own community. And so then it actually becomes a pathway for people in the community that they want to do.
Mm. So
There's a couple of things. Oh, yeah.
I just want to say one thing. So here's a bottleneck that I see with that, is that the more systems that I put in and the more automation and the more holes that I plug, it makes our community feel like distant. So the very thing that brought people in the first place was accessibility, proximity. The way that I lead and the way that I hold myself is like they see me at all times of the day, really. I'm always there, which I know is a problem in itself. That's a massive problem in itself. So you can talk about that later. But right now, the more systems I put in place, the more automated the community feels, the less engagement I get, the less of the community feels like a community. So
Then why, instead of sort of trying to get more people in the community, which is more people to service and more people to, do your program with, it's like maybe look at verticals. Let's sell another product to the same people in the community so that you're not doubling the people, you're just doubling what you're selling them. And so I would be more looking at scaling inside the community first before I'm like, yeah, let's bring in more leads because that's more headache, that's more people to keep happy, that's more service. I would be looking at more vertical businesses. What else can you sell your girls? Like there is so many other programs and products that you could actually offer to your same community. Therefore, you're scaling financially, but without all of those extra headaches that more clients bring.
Mm.
Things popping up for me is the first thing which I've been trying to Google and I think I found it is there's a concept called the life stages of a business, but you have to Google it. What are the things that will make a business succeed or fail at each stage of its growth? So it talks about how you have like the startup phase where you are literally just trying to validate your idea. Then you go to the survival phase. Okay, you've got enough customers, but your profit's not that good and cash flow is critical. And through these phases, everything is very messy. And then you go into the success stage, which is okay, all right, are you going to remain stable or are you going to get growth? And at each of these stages, it's like, all right, if you're going to succeed, you either need to invest the profits, and where businesses fail is they get stuck and they go back to survival phase. So I would say first that sometimes in my experience where things have felt really out of control or intense, it's been really reassuring for me to understand that concept that actually that's really normal. Or if you're feeling like you're getting to the stage where things are breaking or it's not quite working, then maybe like Katie's saying, it's because your business is maturing and it does need some systems. The second thing I would say is what is the problem that you're solving by people having access to you all the time? Is it that they feel supported? Is it that they feel clear? Is it that they're learning? We are part of a mastermind for it's Davey Fogarty's Daily Mentor, right? So Davey Fogarty has all his content out on YouTube, and I have never once spoken to Davey Fogarty. We've had monthly coach like mentors. So we have like a growth person who's with us. The onboarding process was slick as, so we constantly feel supported, like we can chat to people, our problems are solved. So maybe there's a different way to solve whatever problem you're solving for those people in a different way. And then the third thing that I would say, having also wondered about that, as you get bigger, it's a lot of pressure on you as like a community leader, and that's very much like a key person risk. I thought once around Richard Branson. I was like, how has that man been able to build Virgin Airlines, Virgin Cruises, all these? He's done music records, he's done everything. And I found, all right, well, I mean, what do you guys reckon? How do you reckon Richard Branson has been able to just do these businesses over and over again? Massive. What do you reckon?
Teams, systems,
Yeah, teams, the right people,
the right people,
Teams,
the right
right
teams,
people,
systems.
and the right values as well. He's got the vision, but when you were talking about, I want to, if you're going to get other people out there selling, and how are you going to know if they're going to bring the right people in? That to me is no different from if you've got like a GM hiring new staff. They still have to be, and you're really strong on your values. Like your team knows the values and the community knows the values. So I think that you're in a really good position for people to go out and be the ambassadors and get the right people in if they kind of like, what is it? Think it, feel it, act it, do it. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love what you're saying. I think that's such a good reminder to look at where you're at and what you need. I guess to me, the reason that and when I say so much access, like I don't want you to think that I'm just 24/7 available. That's not essentially what I mean. But for me, I attract the everyday woman. That's what I attract. And I want people to look at me and go, I can be her, I can do that. And so in order for them to feel that this is attainable, I want them to see how real I am. So that's essentially what I'm trying to create by being accessible to my community. And I know that there are people in the community that could do an amazing job at going out there, spreading the word, talking about she sells, bringing people in. I guess, like, and I've always set like a really strong frame that it's not like there's plenty of pieces of pie for us all. So the bigger we get, I don't want you to slip into scarcity and think there's not enough for me. I'm not going to speak to Brooke. I'm not going to be able to speak to Brooke like I could when there was only 500 members in the community. I've never set a standard like that. But I guess like the one thing that I want to, and because it's such a core value of mine, is like I want people to feel like they belong. And the way that I view myself is that I'm not a leader of a pack. I'm not that person. I am the person at the back of the pack, making sure that no one gets left behind. Like that is my role. That's how I see myself. And so I guess like I'm trying to, oh my God, I'm hearing another bottleneck as I'm freaking talking to you about this in real time. I'm like, I think I'm slowing myself down, or I'm really hesitating and delaying getting these 10 people out, spreading the word, because I'm like, how can I be sure that everyone is coming along for this ride if I'm not in control? So it's like a releasing of control and just knowing that what I've created is strong. There's a strong foundation there, and that I have done the right thing by bringing the right people into the community. And now I need to, give the reins away and find a leader of the pack. Fuck.
Richard Branson isn't on every flight,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
works.
Mm.
Sometimes they get, kick people out of the lounge for breastfeeding, but it's all good. They still make money. They still fly planes. It's all good.
Maybe that's not that fragile. Doing rage bait.
Well, I think it's such a normal thing in business is to want to keep control. And, I think it's about us trusting like the people around us, trusting the team, trusting the community members. It's, at some point we can't do everything and we can't control everything. And it's like, if you get the right people in the right seats with, like what you said, Viv, the right values, then we have to then let go of the control to grow. And I think to scale, if you are wanting to scale to the moon, you are going to have to work on these things, as we all do.
It's also hard that it's also hard, and it would be weird if you weren't finding this difficult, because your literal success formula to date for your entire income and your, livelihood has been based on you being out there, you doing content, you being available in the community. So for you to open up to the idea of that changing, that's not just you giving up control. That's like, well all of that those ingredients have been what have got me to the point of being able to afford a $20,000 a month villa in Bali. And you're saying that I'm going to hand over the reins? Like, that's a very normal reaction to have to changing things up.
It's not about being successful. Like that's not even crossing my mind. I think it's like, I know how beautiful, and it's hard to explain this unless you're actually inside the community to see what I mean by this, but the community that we have is just so special. Like my concern with me taking a step back and putting other people in to balance it out a little bit more is the dilution of that magic that's being created in the community. That is my biggest concern. Not how much money I'm going to make or how successful it's going to be. Could not give two rights about that. It's more about like the women feel safe in this community. They look at what's possible and they look at success as something that they can actually have. It's not this like person that is so elusive. It's like, do they actually exist? Are they in team meetings? Are they having any part of this business? It's like, I don't know if I'm articulating this correctly, but that's kind of my what I'm getting at here is like, I don't want to dilute the magic of the community. And I guess this is another limitation is I'm actually saying that there is no one that could do a better job than me when there is absolutely someone that could do a better job than me. So it's like, I guess I need to expand my own mindset and be able to look at, okay, well, what else is possible? What else could be possible for this community instead of what's going to be taken away?
Is your concern that it's not going to feel like attainable for people if, say, like the coaches, for lack of a better term, are not salespeople themselves, like working in sales?
It's more just the life cycle of a business owner that I don't like. Someone starts off at the bottom, they grow with their community, and then they slowly start to peel away. We see that every time, right? And what I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I just don't. I don't want them to look at me and be like, oh fuck, Brooke came in and built this, and now we don't ever see her. She runs no sessions. She just lives in her mansion and like does unboxings every fucking week. Like I don't want to be that person. And so I have this like, and yes, it could be control. I don't really know what it is. I just don't want to lose my presence in the community. And I know about risk, and I know about all this other stuff. I'm just not. I don't know.
It's just a reframe. I think it's, again, like you've grown so quickly and you've got to catch up to where the business is at. And I think it's just maybe reframing more around the point that, for me to do a good job with my community now, it's maybe not me being in front of them constantly because I have great coaches that can now do that. But instead, it's probably going to benefit them more if I'm getting them more work or I'm building the connections with other businesses to provide more opportunities for them when they finish the program. And I think if that is then explained to the community and, on your socials, you're like, I'm out here today getting another amazing brand on board so that you guys have that pathway to actually make the money once you've learnt the skill. I think if you just reframe it in, that obviously you're kind of taking that next step for them and working on even more important things for them, I think it just that reframe might help.
Yeah, I love
Or the expectation is like their expectations are set as in, you will like I know you already do lives in your school group, but that it's booked in once a week or something and it's Q&A and that's set, and I don't know if that's something you already do, but that's set in stone and then everyone knows that that's their option to talk to you on top of everyone else or something. Because it's still accessible.
I run 8 sessions a week.
There you go. Okay, so right.
8 sessions.
Jesus Christ.
I'm thinking you're running like 20 a day.
No. 8 a week. I do 8 a week, and then all the other coaches run we have about 30 live sessions that happen every single week.
Yeah, I mean, I think reducing the number of sessions, if that's what felt right to you, is actually also good for the longevity. So they've still got sessions available in 6 months' time. Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Could you imagine signing up to a mastermind and someone was doing 8 sessions a week? You'd be like, holy shit.
I know a mastermind that I paid fucking 50 grand for. I think I have one 20-minute session with him like a year or something. I'm like, but like the ascension, for instance, like Katie, you were talking before about different verticals and I guess ascension programs. Like the higher you ascend within She Cells, and this was, I guess, the purpose of the inner circle, is that you would have more proximity and access to me. But the way that I've always built communities, I do think that's a huge strength of mine, is to show the lower tiered groups what is possible. And the best way that I can do that is by not being completely inaccessible. It's actually allowing them in. So it's almost like they're having sneak peeks. They're being a part of that higher program. They're feeling the energy, the momentum of the people who have walked before them. And that naturally elevates them into wanting to have that higher program. So look, I am so new to business. I have so much to learn. I know in next year, we're going to look back to this episode and be like, what were your lessons, Brooke? I'm going to be like, well, where do I start?
This will be like a bleep in the ocean. And I think, again, a nice reframe for business owners, if you are going through it right now, as we always do, it's like, will I even remember this in 1 month, 2 months, 5 years? When I look back in 5 years, this will be a complete bleep. Like you won't even remember it. And it's been a frame that I've used a lot through my business journey because we can get so caught up in the crap. And I'm like, you know what? Let's look down the barrel. Let's look down the barrel for in 5 years. And I look back, this won't even be on my radar.
Yeah, wow.
And you know what, Brooke? Like everything else and everything in future, you'll figure it out. Everything
Yeah,
is
you will.
figure-outable.
And that's where we're going to end it. You'll just figure it out. That's such a good ending phrase to this episode is, don't get so caught up in the minutia, because at the end of the day, you will fucking figure it out.
You will.
You will.
You will.